Just a quick note before we start this interview. Michael and I had this conversation before the coronavirus pandemic broke out. So I decided to move it up in line this season because I think it's really important to get a good handle on Facebook Lives. And Michael does it so well. So this interview is great. It's full of so many tips and tricks and gear and all the things you need to really engage with your Facebook Live audience. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to Key Conversations, the podcast where we talk about how to do all the things to have a sustainable and fulfilling music career. Today, I'm really excited to have Michael Martinez with us. He is a piano player whose most recent release was the solo piano record, and he did some really cool stuff in terms of engaging his fans, specifically with Facebook Live, and using Facebook Live to not only get the album out to them, but also to grow his email list so that he could then use his email list, which is, as we know, the most effective way to engage with fans directly. So thank you for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you about this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for inviting me. This is such a great pleasure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm really excited to talk to you because I did not use Facebook Live a lot to promote my record. And I'm excited to hear what I could be doing for next time. So first of all, what point in the process of releasing your record where you were like, I should be using Facebook Live? Was it before you even had the record and you were just doing it to grow your email list? Or tell me the timeline in regards to the record.
You know, it's both. I was doing it before my album release and during it and after. And I realized that the power of engaging people live in the moment is such a really good thing to just capture anybody's attention. So I realized this is an ongoing process. And I'm even promoting my older albums too. So this is just done throughout almost every week. But especially, I definitely ramped it up and I did certain key things to get people involved when the pre-release was happening and then when the album drops. So I kind of changed the way I approached the live streaming in those certain times.
Cool. And I'd love to hear how you did that. But just first tell me and tell our listeners, are you going live on your Facebook profile, your personal profile, or your page for your artist page?
I'm going on my personal Facebook page.
Got it. Cool.
That's beginning to work for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And just to get like stats and numbers, because I know this has been really effective for you and your album has been featured all over the place, including solopiano.com, which is a favorite site of mine. So give us some numbers. How many? So on your Facebook profile, we're not talking about fans or likes. We're actually talking about followers or friends, really. So how give us the ballpark just so people can sort of get related to what the numbers are.
Okay. So say, for instance, you have about 2,000 friends on your personal page.
Is that what you have?
That's what I have.
Around what you're cool.
And so basically when I make a post, I'm getting about 30 to 50 likes or hearts or love things or whatever people do. And the comments range from anywhere from like 9 to 12, like 2 to 5 shares. And then we could talk about subscriptions, but putting a link, I'm looking at between, 6 to 10 subscribers per live stream to my email list.
Okay. That is pretty great. And how long are your live streams? Are you talking for 2 hours? Are they 5 minutes?
About 7 to 10 minutes long is seeming to be a nice time frame for that.
I think that's a pretty good return on an investment. 10 minutes of your time for 6 to 10 subscribers is really great. Like sometimes we play small coffee houses and do a whole gig and we get 10 subscribers. So I think that's really great. Those are really great numbers. So, so let's talk specifically around knowing that you had a release coming up and you knew that you were going to do a pre-release, meaning people could pre-order it, buy it before it came out. So how did you use Facebook Live during that period? And then what did you do to shift once the record dropped? Walk us through that.
Okay, great. So what I did is I knew I had to get people to sign up to iTunes and Amazon to make the pre-purchase, basically. So I really ramped it up. So what I did was I set up my keyboard, and the main key point here is when you're capturing people's attention is you want to have really good audio going into your broadcast. That's key, especially for solo piano music. I've realized that once people hear a good sound and you're there and you're well lit, that's the engagement. That's a very big part. So once you're doing that, I said, okay, now if you want to help me get my album out there and get it up on the charts, check this out. I would share a personal story about a particular song. And this is where it's really important. You want to resonate with the person. And so every song on my album has a story. And so I went right into, this is what the song is about. Say for instance, the song At Peace. This is one of the piano songs I would often perform on my live streams. And I said, this song was an improvisation. I did not plan this song. It came out a couple years ago and it played itself. And people were like, wow, you didn't take months to compose this song. It was just straight out. It was perfect as is. And so I drew people in saying, this is what this song is about. It's very relaxing. So I would play that song and then I'd say, okay, now this song is available for pre-purchase. You download it. And I think more so what I could get from this is that it's very important that you just don't turn your phone on and go live and play your music and say, hey, come check it out, pre-save it on Spotify, iTunes, pre-purchase. You're missing that connection there. And what I really want to emphasize is you need to tell a story and you need to make it to connect to that listener. And I really believe that's why I could tell from the posts I've been doing. At first, I just turned on my camera, played. I didn't see much engagement there. But it's when I started to become more personal in my posts, that's when I saw engagement. That's when people said, oh, wow, I didn't know about your song. I just pre-ordered it on iTunes and I can't wait till the album comes out. Oh, yeah. Wow. There's that connection. So I really wanted to emphasize.
I love that. I think story is so important in your story, because it's the thing that people are going to be able to really, connect with. And when they connect with something, then there's like a familiarity, and it's almost like, well, I'm going to help out my friend now, not just this music person that I like. And like, people will like the music, but they might just, stream it. But when they get connected to you, they have so much more at stake and they feel partnered with you. I really found that telling my story was the thing that really was helping me with Luminary, my record that just came out, and sharing that it came from a place of anxiety, but also sharing the music industry side of the story, which is, I'm playing this game to get on Billboard. Here's what's happening in the industry. The rules are changing. This is really hard for an independent artist to do now. It's not about sales anymore. So I was telling my fans kind of how the music industry works. So that, like, there was a little bit of like, oh, interesting. Like, what's going to happen next? Yeah. But then also sharing the very vulnerable, like, this came from me doing work on myself and on my anxiety and looking for music to support my structures and not being able to find what I want. And then, all that stuff. And I was, a little nervous. I'm not usually too nervous to share vulnerable stuff, but I think that talking about anxiety and mental health and things, there is a stigma. So it was a little bit of going out on a limb that I think was welcome. So anything you can share, and you don't have to have tragedy or anything like devastating, but it's just personal. And I think that's so true. So you were sharing stories, you were playing music off of the album. And then you were telling me about your 24-hour sort of Dropbox link thing that you did. Tell me when that happened in the process and what exactly did you do?
Yes, that's after my album came out. So the release date happened. I sold, like 10, 12 downloads and things were starting to happen. But I really wanted people to get involved in my story even further. And that's for the people who have joined Rock Your Email List and about all the email automation that you could do. I said I needed to get people to really hang on and get involved with who I was as a musician and as a person. So even though I was giving the album away for free, I would know that it would give me a chance to reconnect with these people that already got my album. I said, well, you could purchase it, but did you join my email list? That was kind of my mentality. I wanted to give them a second chance. And for the people who didn't, so basically what I did a 24-hour thing. I said, okay, guys, for those of you who just want to hear my music and are new to it, I'm giving you my whole album for free. So I set it up in Dropbox. I had all my 10 MP3s. And so I'm in MailChimp, so that's where I do my email automation. So what I did is in my landing page, if you're familiar with setting up the link, you could do a link to a page. And I just did the link to the Dropbox folder, basically. And I created a link for that folder. So anytime that person went to my landing page, entered in their email, then they were instantly redirected to the Dropbox folder to where they could download the 10 MP3s.
Awesome.
And that really, really worked. I noticed a lot of subscribers within a couple hours, and it was a good win.
That's awesome. So you did that as a Facebook Live. That Facebook Live was about saying, hey, I'm going to give you this whole album for free.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm really getting clear on is that you were clear that your goal wasn't necessarily to make money from this album. You were growing your fan base. You used the album as a tool. And that's a totally noble, amazing goal. A lot of this podcast season, I've been talking about my personal goal, which was to get on the Billboard charts. But also knowing that in past years, I had goals where my CD was designed to be sold at live shows. So the CD was actually recorded exactly how we did our live show. And another CD that was designed for licensing. My goal was to get these songs with the big orchestra, all that stuff, get those on TV shows. Totally different from the tour sound. This record is all about getting on the Billboard chart, and that was the game I was playing. And that's totally great too. Your record was all about growing the fan base, specifically through email subscribers. So I love that you were clear on that, because I don't want people listening being like, why would you give it away for free? I especially a lot of time talk about not giving it away for free unless you are really intentional about it. And you're like, I'm doing this thing. I'm only doing it for 24 hours. And you got the results that you were looking for, which is now you have that engagement. Now you can send them through the nurture sequences and all the things you've learned in Rock Your Email List. I will put a link to this program that I've created specifically to do this kind of stuff in the show notes, but it's in thekey.co/email course. And Michael has taken in, has been excelling, it sounds like, doing these techniques. So he's really gotten, you've really gotten the whole big picture of it, which is you're creating long-term relationships with your fans, and you're able to stay in touch with them, whether or not they see your Facebook Live. If they happen to not be scrolling, if they don't have notifications turned on, you're not going to get all those people, but in email you will. So I think that is such a win. Congratulations on what a great idea. And I also want to put in that you added something that's really important when you're marketing anything, but it didn't feel markety, was there's urgency. So that 24 hours, it wasn't like, now I'm giving it away for free. It was like, you have 24 hours to act on this, and you get a whole album for free. You've been listening and enjoying little bits of it. Why would you not? Why would anyone not? So putting that urgency in, I think, is really brilliant. And it's such a great thing to do after you've already released the record. So there's like no more timelines, like no more, it's kind of like, now it's out, it's going to be out forever. So unless you start playing your own games that have a deadline, people are going to be ho-hum about it. So I thought that was really brilliant too. So very cool.
Great.
Any other shifts that you want to share that you made from when you're doing your Facebook Lives during the pre-release and the pre-order time versus when you released it, or anything you changed leading up to the release? Any different techniques or things that you saw work?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm thinking about how I went all about this. I think mostly after it was released, I pushed so much to get it out there. And then, like, what happens after? That's kind of where I'm at, is, after the hype's gone, how do you keep up the hype? That's kind of where I've been thinking, because it's really easy to hype it up, but when it's gone, when it's out. So I'm really thinking how I went about that. And I think once again, I'd have to say what I started to do and what I'm doing now is I'm taking individual stories and happenings that I wrote in my Nurture series. And basically what I wrote in my email, I'm copying and pasting right into the description when I go live.
Cool. Very cool. That's super smart.
And because I've already done a good amount of work on my Nurture series, I said, how can I use this? How can I recycle it? How can I get it to new people that are not even on my mailing list? So what I've realized now is that I'm not great at writing, but I really polish it up in, my email. So I put it in the description, and that's even been connecting people even more about the individual songs. Like I recently did a live stream about how music first got into me and how it excited me so much and how I got inspired. It was a really cool story, and I saw a lot of engagement from that. And I was able to tie it in with my current music. So basically, one thing when you're doing a live stream, I've noticed some people will use Facebook Live. I'm using something called Switcher Studio, which is actually a program to where your iPad could become a multiple HD switching device.
Whoa.
It's annual subscription. So what I really want to emphasize for people who are more into doing a more high quality broadcast is I was using my camera angle, basically my iPhone. And then I would also have another option to switch to a photo or something of that nature to where I could switch between two shots. And so using that, like a picture of me when I was young, right?
Wow.
Here's Michael when I was 13. I was playing in a park, and all of a sudden there was a melody that came in my head, and I didn't know what it was, but I heard it so strongly in my head. I went to a piano store and played the melody. I really told the story like it was, and it just really resonated with so many people.
That's so awesome.
And
what is the site that you use to do that switcher?
Yes. So the program I'm using is called Switcher Studio. It works for all iOS devices, only iOS devices.
Switcher Studio. I will find the link to that, Switcher Studio, and put that in the show notes. Is it, maybe it's switcherstudio.com, maybe not, but that is a really awesome resource. I was also going to ask you, you said sound is so important when you're playing live.
Yes.
How do you connect your keyboard to, if you're using your phone, do you have a USB mic or something that connects to a phone? That's not USB.
Yes. I could show you one device right now. I'm just going to grab it for a second. Is that okay?
Well, it's audio, so the people listening are not going to be able to see what you're grabbing, but you can tell us about it.
Okay, yes, I'll tell you about it. It's really easy. All you need is a small mixer board, basically like a little Mackie desktop mixer that has two inputs. So all I do is I get my keyboard, take the stereo out, put it into a stereo channel into the mixer board. And basically it'll allow you to have your keyboard. And then when you're talking on your live stream, I don't like the audio that comes out of the phone. So basically I'm using a microphone or a lapel mic, basically. So now I have my audio from my piano in the mixer, and I also have the microphone. So how do I get the audio out of the mixer into the device? So there's a device called a Behringer UCA 202. It's a little silver box. It's about $30 on Amazon. And you take the main 1/4 inch out or XLR and put it into the input of the Behringer. And then the Behringer has a USB out. So what you need to do is you need to convert that USB to a lightning port, basically, which goes in the bottom of your iPhone. So that's a simple adapter that costs like $30. And so you put it on the end of the USB, plug it in your iPhone, and now you have great audio coming out from your mixer straight into your phone.
That's awesome. I'm going to try to get, Michael and I will take a couple minutes after this and find all of these links on Amazon. So if you want the setup, if you're someone who's playing live and wants it to sound really, really fantastic, which you do, by the way, there is a ton of marketing research that actually says that if a YouTube video, they did this research on YouTube, if the YouTube video has really crappy video but awesome audio, people will watch through the end. If it's the opposite, if the audio is terrible but the video looks amazing, people do not watch to the end. It is very, very clear data that your audio is more important than your visual, especially if you're playing live. Of course, you're going to want that. I mean, if you're not performing live, you can get a good sort of headset I think earbuds are advancing very rapidly in terms of getting good sound just into your phone. If you're just talking, obviously, if you want to be using a piano you don't want it like the room sound of a digital keyboard speakers.
Yeah.
It's too many conversion factors points before they actually finally get the audio. So this sounds complicated, but it sounds like you're just connecting to a mixer. The mixer's connecting to an adapter. The adapter's connecting to your phone. The sound's going to your phone. So we will link to all of those on Amazon so you can take a look and see if it's within your budget, if this is something that you want to start to get really good at. So thank you for sharing all of this information. This is super helpful from the techie side to the strategy. And I hear you that you're in a place now, your album has come out. Congratulations. You created all the buzz. And it's like, how do you keep the buzz going? Because you're not going to do another album next week. That's not how it works. So just sharing with you my strategy, and we will have a podcast episode about the post-release promotion, but just to sort of hint at it, what my strategy is I'm now I'm going to be in the world of pitching playlists, pitching music supervisors, and trying to get the music in other places. And so my work is all about not necessarily going to the fans right now, because I did that promotional push, but now it's promotional out there in terms of playlisting. And anytime I get a success there, anytime I get on a playlist, like you can even go through Submit Hub, get on blogs and playlists and other things for $1 per submission. It's a great, I got a lot of successes, especially in our genre. I think it's genre specific, whether or not it's easy to do well there, but in the new age, classical, neoclassical, I think it's easy to get some good results there. And singer-songwriter and folk, they have a lot of those things. Submit Hub, and anytime you get a win, so a blog says yes, I'll post about this, or a playlist says yes, I'll add this. That's the news that you go tell your fans about, because it's no longer you telling them to go buy your record. It's like, hey, this other source is using it. Isn't that cool? And thanks so much for supporting me in the first place. And if you haven't gotten it yet, like, this source says it's cool, you should go get it. So it's a little like less direct promotion when you're just sharing like, hey, this is good news for me, this is good news for the record. So that's sort of my take on my post release strategy, at least for the time being. So I don't know if that helps at all, sort of give you a little bit of a idea of things that you could do. Start getting more little wins for yourself, big wins, and then sharing those as you go along with the people that are sort of following the story of the record. So
wonderful.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Facebook Live, something I haven't been doing, but now I'm really inspired to, really excited about this. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Welcome. Where can people find you and your music? Where can they listen to your music, A, and B, where can they interact with you? What's your favorite social media platform?
Yeah, well, I'm on Facebook. I do have a business music page, so you could find me there at Michael Martinez Music. And you could also stream my music on Spotify and Pandora and Apple Music. And my latest album is Asilomar. It's all solo piano.
Amazing. Those links will also be in the show notes. Michael Martinez, solo piano. There you go. And the album name is, say it again?
Asilomar.
Asilomar.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Cheryl.